The night air hung thick with the scent of rain and diesel fuel as Highway 83 stretched endlessly through the Kansas plains. It was 2:47 a.m. on March 15, 2019, when State Trooper Benjamin Hayes spotted the anomaly that would haunt him for years to come. A massive Peterbilt truck sat motionless on the shoulder, its engine still rumbling like a mechanical heartbeat in the darkness. Headlights cutting through the pre-dawn mist like twin searchlights, scanning for something that would never be found. Hayes approached the cab with the measured caution of a man who had seen too much in his 15 years patrolling these desolate stretches of American highway. The driver's door hung open, swaying gently in the March wind like a mouth frozen mid-scream. Inside, the CB radio crackled with static and distant voices of truckers miles away, their conversations about weather and road conditions creating an eerie soundtrack to what he was about to discover. The keys dangled from the ignition, the GPS still glowing with a route that would never be completed. Coffee steamed in a thermos, still warm to the touch, as if the driver had simply stepped away for a moment and would return any second. But Dale Morrison would never return. The 53-year-old veteran trucker had vanished as completely as if the earth had opened up and swallowed him whole, leaving behind only questions that would multiply like shadows in the growing light of dawn. His logbook lay open to his final entry, written in his familiar, careful handwriting, "Mile marker 247. Something's not right. Light in the sky getting brighter. God help me." The pen that had written those words lay on the passenger seat, its ink still wet. When Hayes used his flashlight to search the cab more thoroughly, he found something that would transform this mysterious disappearance into a national obsession and launch 1,000 conspiracy theories. Clutched in the driver's seat, as if dropped in haste or terror, was a single Polaroid photograph that would become the most analyzed piece of evidence in modern UFO folklore. The image showed the exact stretch of Highway 83, where the truck now sat, captured from outside the vehicle in the dead of night. But dominating the frame was something that defied earthly explanation. A brilliant, pulsating orb of white light, suspended in the star-scattered Kansas sky, perfectly circular and radiating an otherworldly luminescence that seemed to bend reality around its edges. The light in the photograph wasn't merely bright. It possessed an almost hypnotic quality that drew the eye and held it captive. Tendrils of energy appeared to cascade from its core like liquid starlight, and the asphalt below glowed with an ethereal reflection that transformed the mundane highway into something resembling a landing strip for the impossible. The image quality was crisp and undeniably authentic, bearing all the characteristics of genuine instant film, with none of the telltale signs of manipulation or hoax. This single photograph would become the centerpiece of one of the most investigated missing person cases in Kansas history, launching Dale Morrison's disappearance from local mystery to international phenomenon. UFO researchers descended upon the small Kansas town like pilgrims to a holy site, armed with electromagnetic field detectors and theories about extraterrestrial contact. The image circulated through online forums and scientific communities with the fervor of a religious revelation, each expert finding in its luminous anomaly confirmation of humanity's first contact with intelligence from beyond the stars. The initial investigation moved with the methodical precision of a machine designed to process the inexplicable, but found itself immediately overwhelmed by the otherworldly implications of that haunting photograph. Sheriff's deputies cordoned off a mile-long section of Highway 83, treating the abandoned truck as both crime scene and potential landing site for visitors from distant worlds. Detective Rebecca Thompson, a 15-year veteran of the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, arrived as the sun painted the horizon in shades of amber and gold, transforming the mysterious scene into something almost beautiful, yet deeply unsettling. Dale Morrison had been driving commercial routes for over 30 years, accumulating more than 2 million miles without a single serious incident or report of anything unusual. His employer, Midwest Transport Solutions, described him as their most reliable and level-headed driver, a man who treated his 18-wheeler like a precision instrument and viewed the road with the practical skepticism of someone who had seen every trick the highway could play. The idea that such a pragmatic man would fabricate stories about mysterious lights seemed as impossible as the light itself. His wife, Martha, stood beside the highway barrier that morning, her silver hair whipping in the Kansas wind, staring at the photograph with an expression that investigators would later describe as profound shock mixed with something that might have been recognition. She had driven through the night from their home in Topeka after receiving the call, her mind cycling through every possible explanation except the one that was already taking root in the collective imagination of everyone present. Dale was a practical man, she told Detective Thompson with a trembling voice, someone who believed only in what he could see and touch and fix with his own two hands. If he had photographed something in the sky, then something had undeniably been there. The photograph underwent the most rigorous forensic analysis in the history of the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. Experts confirmed its authenticity with absolute certainty, ruling out digital manipulation, double exposure, or any known photographic technique that could have produced the luminous anomaly. The paper stock matched Polaroid film manufactured in late 2018, and spectrographic analysis of the light revealed properties that didn't correspond to any known aircraft, weather phenomenon, or terrestrial light source. More mysteriously, meteorological records showed perfectly clear skies over central Kansas on the night of Dale's disappearance, with visibility extending for dozens of miles in every direction. The Federal Aviation Administration had no record of any aircraft in the area, and military installations confirmed no experimental flights or training exercises. Radar stations detected absolutely nothing anomalous during the time frame when the photograph was taken, as if the brilliant light had existed in some dimension beyond the reach of human technology. Word of the mysterious disappearance and its otherworldly evidence spread through every community fascinated by the unexplained. The photograph appeared on the covers of UFO magazines and scientific journals alike, analyzed by everyone from amateur enthusiasts to former NASA scientists. Each examination seemed to deepen the mystery rather than solve it, as the light's properties defied conventional explanation while its documentation appeared absolutely genuine. Television crews arrived from major networks, transforming the quiet Kansas highway into a circus of satellite trucks and reporters broadcasting live updates about what many were calling the most compelling evidence of extraterrestrial contact in modern history. The photograph was enhanced, magnified, and subjected to every form of analysis available to modern science, yet the light remained as mysterious as the moment it was first discovered. If you're fascinated by mysteries that challenge our understanding of reality, please hit the like button and subscribe for more investigations into the unexplained phenomena that continue to baffle investigators. The investigation took its first earthly turn 3 weeks after Dale's disappearance, when Detective Thompson discovered something that would begin to shift the case from science fiction back to criminal reality. While conducting what had initially seemed like routine background checks, she uncovered evidence of financial irregularities in Dale's personal accounts that painted a picture far more complex than that of a simple family man abducted by otherworldly forces. Bank records revealed a pattern of cash withdrawals and mysterious deposits that didn't align with his reported income from Midwest Transport Solutions, suggesting a secondary source of revenue that he had kept hidden from both his employer and his wife. The amounts were significant, sometimes reaching several $1,000s in a single transaction, far exceeding what any legitimate side business should have generated for a long-haul trucker. More disturbing was the discovery of a second cell phone registered under Dale's name, one that Martha claimed complete ignorance about when confronted with the evidence. The phone records revealed months of intensive communication with a single number, traced to a woman named Cassandra Vale, who lived in a small apartment complex on the outskirts of Hutchinson, Kansas. The frequency and duration of their conversations painted an unmistakable picture of intimate relationship, with calls often occurring during Dale's supposedly solitary hours on the highway. But it was the content of their text messages that began to unravel the otherworldly narrative surrounding Dale's disappearance. References to meeting locations, expressions of affection, and detailed discussions of financial arrangements revealed a relationship that extended far beyond casual acquaintance. More troubling were Cassandra's increasingly desperate messages about money, debts, and unnamed threats that suggested their relationship involved more than simple romance. Cassandra Vale was 28 years old, a former cocktail waitress with a history of relationships with older, financially established men that invariably ended under suspicious circumstances. When Detective Thompson arrived at her apartment for questioning, she discovered that Cassandra had vanished as completely as Dale Morrison, leaving behind only evidence of a lifestyle that her reported income couldn't possibly support. The apartment told a story of deception and manipulation that cast the mysterious light photograph in an entirely different context. Despite claiming unemployment benefits, Cassandra's residence was furnished with expensive electronics, designer clothing, and jewelry worth tens of thousands of dollars. Hidden beneath a loose floorboard, investigators found detailed notes about Dale's schedule, his routes, his financial situation, and most significantly, extensive research about his wife Martha and their home in Topeka. But the most chilling discovery was a collection of photographs showing Dale and Cassandra together at various locations along his trucking routes, documenting a relationship that had clearly been ongoing for months. Among these images was something that made Detective Thompson's blood run cold. Multiple photographs of the same stretch of Highway 83, where Dale's truck had been found, taken from various angles and at different times of day, as if someone had been planning something that required intimate knowledge of that specific location. Even more disturbing was the discovery of professional-grade photography equipment in Cassandra's closet, including powerful flashes and specialized lighting gear capable of creating brilliant illumination effects. Technical manuals on night photography and light manipulation suggested someone with far more sophisticated knowledge than a simple cocktail waitress should possess. The equipment was expensive and recently purchased, paid for with cash, in amounts that corresponded exactly to some of Dale's mysterious withdrawals. Detective Thompson's investigation into Cassandra's background revealed a pattern that transformed her from victim to predator in the emerging narrative. Two previous boyfriends had reported significant amounts of money missing after their relationships concluded, though neither had pressed formal charges. A third man, a retired insurance salesman from Oklahoma, had died under circumstances that were ruled accidental, but had occurred shortly after changing his will to include Cassandra as a beneficiary. The case began to reshape itself from mysterious disappearance to elaborate murder plot when investigators discovered that Cassandra had been researching Dale's family extensively, paying particular attention to his wife's background, habits, and vulnerabilities. Phone records revealed that she had been in contact with a private investigator, paying him to conduct surveillance not on Dale, but on Martha Morrison herself. As the investigation deepened, the focus inevitably shifted to Martha Morrison, whose initial portrayal as the grieving wife of an alien abduction victim began to crumble under the weight of mounting evidence. Detective Thompson's team discovered that Martha had known about Dale's affair for months, accessing his phone records through their shared cellular account and tracking his movements with the precision of a professional investigator. More significantly, Martha's background revealed skills and knowledge that cast her in an entirely new light. Her college degree in chemistry and previous employment at an agricultural supply company had given her extensive expertise in various compounds and their effects on human physiology. Former colleagues remembered her as exceptionally intelligent and methodical, someone who approached problems with scientific precision and never left details to chance. But it was Martha's internet search history that provided the most damning evidence of premeditation. Her computer revealed months of research into missing person cases, particularly those that remained unsolved due to lack of physical evidence. She had studied disappearances where bodies were never recovered, analyzing investigative techniques and legal outcomes when suspects couldn't be definitively linked to their alleged crimes. More chilling were her searches related to photography and special effects, including detailed research on how to create convincing images of unexplained phenomena. She had downloaded software for manipulating digital images and purchased books on creating realistic UFO photographs, suggesting someone planning to fabricate evidence of extraterrestrial contact. The timeline that Detective Thompson constructed painted a horrifying picture of calculated revenge orchestrated by a woman whose intelligence had been underestimated by everyone around her. Martha had discovered Dale's affair, researched both her husband and his lover extensively, then developed a plan that would eliminate them both while creating an unassailable alibi rooted in the impossible. Security footage from multiple locations showed Martha purchasing the exact type of photography equipment found in Cassandra's apartment, using cash and disguises that had initially prevented her identification. She had also acquired large quantities of lime and industrial plastic sheeting, claiming they were for home improvement projects that investigators could find no evidence of. The mysterious photograph that had launched 1,000 UFO theories now appeared in its true context, an elaborate prop created by Martha to support a narrative of alien abduction that would discourage serious criminal investigation. Using professional lighting equipment and careful positioning, she had created an image convincing enough to fool experts while providing the perfect cover story for her husband's disappearance. But Martha's plan had been even more sophisticated than simple murder disguised as extraterrestrial contact. Phone records revealed that she had been manipulating both Dale and Cassandra for months, feeding information to each about the other, while positioning herself as the innocent victim of their deception. She had encouraged Cassandra's increasingly desperate financial demands while simultaneously documenting Dale's responses, creating a paper trail that would implicate them both in various schemes should their bodies ever be discovered. The case against Martha Morrison appeared overwhelming in its scope and calculation, but it rested entirely on circumstantial evidence and behavioral analysis rather than physical proof. No bodies had been found despite extensive searches of properties connected to Martha and locations she had visited. No witnesses had observed her in contact with either Dale or Cassandra during the crucial time frame. Her alibi for the evening of March 15th was supported by credit card transactions and security footage that placed her at a movie theater in Topeka during the window when Dale's truck was abandoned. When Detective Thompson finally confronted Martha with the assembled evidence, she found herself facing a woman who had transformed from grieving widow into something far more unsettling. Martha listened to the accusations with the detached interest of someone reviewing a technical problem, occasionally asking for clarification, but showing no emotional reaction to being accused of orchestrating multiple murders. Her responses were measured and precise, acknowledging the evidence while providing alternative explanations that, while implausible, could not be definitively disproven. Martha's attorney understood immediately that the prosecution's case, despite its compelling narrative and circumstantial evidence, lacked the concrete proof necessary for conviction beyond reasonable doubt. Without bodies, without witnesses, without physical evidence directly linking Martha to any crime, the case remained legally insufficient, regardless of how certain investigators were of her guilt. The media attention surrounding the revelation transformed public perception of the case from mysterious alien encounter to calculated domestic crime, but Martha maintained her composure throughout the scrutiny. Television interviews showed a woman who spoke about her missing husband with apparent genuine emotion, expressing hope for his return while simultaneously making practical decisions that suggested she knew he would never come back. As months passed without resolution, Detective Thompson found herself haunted by the certainty that she was dealing with someone who had committed perfect murders and would never be held accountable. Martha Morrison returned to her quiet life in Topeka, collecting Dale's life insurance money and selling their home to move to a smaller apartment where she could live comfortably on the proceeds of his death. The mysterious photograph that had convinced the world of extraterrestrial contact was relegated to evidence storage, its otherworldly light revealed as nothing more than sophisticated staging in service of terrestrial evil. The case of Dale Morrison and Cassandra Vale remains officially open, though active investigation has been suspended due to lack of new leads or evidence. Martha Morrison continues to live freely in Kansas, protected by a legal system that demands proof rather than suspicion, regardless of how compelling that suspicion might be. She has never wavered from her story of mysterious disappearance and alien intervention, never provided any information about what might have happened to her husband or his lover, and has shown no signs of the psychological pressure that investigators hoped might eventually break her resolve. In the end, the most terrifying aspect of this case lies not in lights from distant worlds, but in the darkness of human calculation and the perfect crime committed by someone who understood exactly how to manipulate both evidence and perception. The brilliant light that had seemed to promise contact with otherworldly intelligence had been nothing more than earthly deception, created by a woman whose intelligence and ruthlessness had been catastrophically underestimated by everyone who knew her. Dale Morrison and Cassandra Vale remain missing, their fate known only to the woman who may have orchestrated their disappearances and who carries that terrible knowledge with the composure of someone who has never broken under pressure and never will. The photograph that had promised answers to humanity's greatest questions had provided only proof that the most alien intelligence we might encounter could be hiding behind the most familiar faces. If you found this transformation from supernatural mystery to calculated crime as chilling as we did, please like this video and subscribe for more investigations into cases where the truth proves more terrifying than any fiction. Sometimes the most extraordinary mysteries have the most ordinary explanations, hidden by minds capable of deception that transcends our understanding of human nature.